What's up, everyone? So I was watching SportsCenter on ESPN last night, and they had extensive coverage of the Knicks-Hornets preseason finale. And honestly, this was the game I've been waiting all preseason to see because we finally got vintage Jalen Brunson back in action. The captain was ready and destroyed the Hornets by dropping 31 points efficiently. And we also got to see the future of this franchise in Mohamed Dawara, who was absolutely unbelievable. The Knicks closed out the preseason going 4-1, which is exactly how you want to finish before the regular season begins. The SportsCenter analysts were breaking down how the Knicks offense last night looked the best. It's looked all preseason long, and that offensive execution led directly to the victory. The final score was 113-108 in favor of New York. And even though at certain points in the game the Knicks were up by 10 points, the Charlotte Hornets played good defense and shot the ball really well. New York also allowed Charlotte to shoot extremely well from three-point range, which kept the Hornets in the game and kept things competitive. But even though Charlotte kept it close, it didn't matter, because New York got the job done when it mattered most. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into this massive Lakers news, I just want to ask you for a quick favor that would mean the world to me. If you could just take 1 second right now and hit that like button, it would be incredibly important to me and helps this channel grow so much. I know it seems like a small thing, but those likes genuinely make a huge difference in getting this content out to more Lakers fans who need to stay updated on everything happening with this team. So seriously, just tap that like button real quick. It literally takes 1 second, and it helps me out more than you know. The analysts on SportsCenter were discussing how Coach Mike Brown said before the game that he wanted to treat this preseason finale as if it were a regular season game, which meant playing Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and all the starters significant minutes. But remember, the Knicks were missing some key players to start this game. Mitchell Robinson was out for load management, Josh Hart wasn't available, still dealing with illness and back spasms, Karl Anthony Towns has a quad injury, and OG Anunoby has a left ankle injury. So all of these players were unavailable, which was unfortunate because we couldn't see the Knicks' normal regular season rotation in full action against the Hornets. But the SportsCenter crew still wanted to see what this Knicks team could do without those starters and key rotation players, and what they saw was a team that was resilient and utilized every available player to make an impact. The first thing that stood out immediately was the ball movement and how good it was, generating so many open shot opportunities. Now, oftentimes, even though the Knicks generated those open shots, they weren't able to knock them down initially. Even though the shots weren't falling early, the analysts weren't too concerned because New York was generating open threes. As long as shots are open, you want players taking them and shooting with confidence. When you're open, you take the shot, and when you have the ball in your hands, you make quick decisions, penetrate, then spray it out either to a cutter or shooter, and make another decision. Last night, viewers saw that offensive flow in action from the Knicks. But the panel also saw something else that was encouraging, which was a very efficient offense overall. Throughout the entire preseason, the Knicks offense has been up and down, to say the absolute least. Sometimes it looked good, but most times it looked really bad, especially the shooting from three-point range or just shooting from the floor in general has been extremely inconsistent. The analysts weren't sure if it's because the Knicks are still trying to learn Mike Brown's offensive system, but things just haven't looked cohesive. But last night, the ball movement led to open shots, and those open shots were finally going in, three after three after three. It was Jalen Brunson hitting shots, then Deuce McBride, then Jordan Clarkson, then Gershon Yabusele, back to Deuce McBride, Landry Shamet got into the action, Mikal Bridges contributed, back to Jalen Brunson. The scoring was coming from all over This is exactly what you want to see, according to the SportsCenter breakdown, because when those threes are consistently falling, this Knicks team becomes legitimately dangerous. Ball movement, open shots, open three-point shooting, plus Jalen Brunson running the floor and doing whatever he wants to do, that's a recipe for success. Let's talk about the captain and what he did last night Because Brunson was in vintage form, regular season Jalen Brunson mode, he knew other starters were out, and he needed to step up and become that player everyone loves, and we saw it on full display. In the Knicks' final preseason game, as they beat the Hornets 113-108, Jalen Brunson dropped a game-high 31 points on Charlotte, and they couldn't do anything to stop him. He went 5 of 12 from three-point range, shooting efficiently, grabbed 7 rebounds, showing his willingness to do the dirty work, dished out 6 assists, facilitating for his teammates, and added a steal defensively. Brunson is clearly ready and locked in. He cannot wait for the regular season to start. The SportsCenter analysts think what we saw last night proves that isolation Jalen Brunson hasn't disappeared or been eliminated from his game. That's still very much part of his arsenal. However, it's up to Brunson, and obviously head coach Mike Brown, to understand when to utilize that type of isolation offense. If the Knicks don't have anything working and aren't generating good looks, then go ahead, Brunson, take over and do what you do best. But last night, viewers could see something different. Often, what did the captain do? He would penetrate and create opportunities, dribble into the paint, then spray the ball out to a cutter or open shooter on the perimeter. There were multiple times he was making passes to young players, making passes to centers running the floor, bounce passes leading to easy dunks. Jalen Brunson is becoming a complete problem for defenses, and they don't know how to defend him anymore. Think about it this way. Brunson used to be primarily an isolation scorer. Now, under Mike Brown, he's exploring everything in his offensive bag. He's penetrating and creating for others constantly. So sometimes he's penetrating and going inside to score himself, getting and one, getting to the free throw line. The defense has to watch for that scoring threat. But now defenses also have to watch for the spray pass. They have to watch the corners and identify who's stationed there. If it's Jordan Clarkson or Deuce McBride in those corners and they're open, defenders have to race there to contest. And if you're doing that, Jalen Brunson is going to make you pay, because somebody is always going to have an open shot or an open lane to the basket. Brunson last night did an excellent job identifying when to be aggressive as a scorer and when to be a playmaker and facilitator. Because of that decision-making, he made the entire Knicks offense better. Jalen Brunson is already operating on a completely different level, according to the SportsCenter breakdown, and he already looks this good. The panel was asking viewers to imagine when the entire team is playing together healthy, when they're locked in, when they're clicking with great chemistry, and when they're fully executing Mike Brown's system. Once all of that comes together, they can only imagine how good, how excellent, how dangerous this Knicks team is going to be. But besides Jalen Brunson, who had a monster night, he was aided by several other Knicks players. One of those players, in the analysts' opinion, has had the absolute best preseason out of any Knick on that floor, and that's Mikal Bridges. He has looked like one of the best two-way players in the entire NBA during this preseason stretch. He's looked like that version of Mikal Bridges that the Knicks traded all those draft picks to acquire. Ironically, during this preseason, the SportsCenter crew hasn't heard anything about all those picks New York traded to get him. You want to know why? Because, finally, under Mike Brown, Bridges has been completely unlocked. He looks exactly like that elite version of Mikal Bridges that the Knicks thought they were trading for. Now they have that player on this roster, and he looks absolutely phenomenal. Last night, Bridges had 16 points on 7 of 16 shooting, which is very efficient, grabbed 7 rebounds, dished out 4 assists, recorded 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Mikal Bridges did a little bit of everything and was everywhere on the court. This new aggressive Mikal Bridges is by far everyone's favorite version of him. He's aggressively pursuing rebounds, including offensive rebound. On those offensive boards, he's either passing to an open shooter or scoring himself, getting and ones, and going to the free throw line. He's always making the right basketball play. There was one play last night that seemed impossible because of how insane it looked. Mikal Bridges missed an open three-point shot, and the Hornets grabbed the rebound and started running on the other end, looking like they'd get an easy fast break basket. Then Bridges, out of nowhere, remember he just missed that 3 on the other end, comes into frame and blocks the shot. How did he even get there? He went from offense to defense in a literal split second. The analysts said they've never seen that before from McBride. Not at that level of effort and commitment. That level of defense, his focus, his commitment to winning under Mike Brown is out of this world. If Bridges continues playing like this in a wide-open Eastern Conference, he might earn an all-star bid. That's how good he looks on both sides of the ball right now. Aggressive on offense, hitting mid-range jumpers, hitting threes, finishing at the rim, grabbing rebound. Aggressive on defense, getting deflections, steals, and blocks. What else could you possibly want from McBride? This is the version the Knicks traded for, and he looks just as good as everyone remembers him being in Phoenix. This McBride will help the Knicks compete for a championship. The analysts absolutely believe that, based on what they've seen. But SportsCenter also had to talk about the bench production, specifically what Deuce McBride did last night. Off the bench, McBride had 15 points, went 4 of 6 from three-point range, which is basically where he did all his offensive damage. He also had 4 assists, 2 steals, 0 turnovers, and was a plus 20 in 24 minutes. Plus 20, ladies and gentlemen. He was doing exactly what the team needed from him. With Deuce McBride, it all starts with his defense. Last night his defense looked very good, getting into passing lanes, getting steals, pressuring the ball handler, causing turnovers. That's exactly what you want from McBride. But viewers also saw him getting others involved, setting up teammates, finding Yabusele for open threes, finding Jordan Clarkson for open looks, penetrating and creating by spraying the ball out. Deuce McBride, because he's more aggressive this year, is using that mentality to his advantage to help his team get better, just like Jalen Brunson does when he's on the floor. McBride off the bench for New York last night was very impactful, and you can see during the regular season he's going to be one of those regular bench contributors, having a huge impact. Mike Brown is going to look to him when he enters games to provide instant offense, more playmaking, and getting others involved. McBride can do all of that, and last night he showed it to everyone watching. If this version of Deuce McBride can stay this aggressive and play at this level consistently, he could potentially be up for 6th Man of the Year honors this season because he's playing at that caliber. The SportsCenter panel did want to mention something, though, because while McBride's defense was good and McBride's defense was excellent, the overall Knicks team defense continues going up and down inconsistently. That's probably the biggest complaint about New York during this preseason. The way they've been defending the three-point line, especially last night against the Hornets, was concerning. The reason Charlotte was even in this game was because New York was allowing their shooters to get open threes or enough space on their attempts to hit shot after shot. When you allow that to happen, you give the opposing team confidence. You give the Hornets confidence to attack and make those shots. The Knicks' defense is too inconsistent. Sometimes they're not closing out properly or fast enough. Other times Mike Brown calls amazing timeouts, gets the team refocused. And after those timeouts, you see them closing out better and playing better interior defense while getting more deflections in passing lane. The analysts understand the team is still learning how to play under Mike Brown's system, but the defense is very concerning and needs to improve ASAP. A struggling defense, no matter how good the offense looks, will never achieve the goals the Knicks want to accomplish, which is reaching the NBA Finals and winning a championship. You cannot do that if your defense isn't up to standard. Now, SportsCenter had already mentioned several players who helped the Knicks get the victory last night in their final preseason game, but they also mentioned at the top of the show that New York was missing several key players, either due to load management or injuries. Because of that, the Knicks had to pivot and give other players opportunities. Which players got those opportunities? Mohamed Dawara and Trey Johnson III. And the panel was emphatic about this. These two players are the future for the Knicks. Last night, they looked absolutely incredible, especially Mohamed Dawara. If you told the analysts before last night's game, if they had never watched Dawara play before, if you said he was a raw rookie just drafted in the 2nd round without much basketball experience, they would have never believed you based on his performance. Last night, he was doing a little bit of everything. He was aggressive, and even though he was missing some shots early, He was not scared in the moment to take those attempts. Even though he was sharing the floor with the captain himself, Brunson, if Dawara can perform confidently in that environment, he can do it anywhere. The analysts are telling everyone, they're promising, that Mohamed Dawara is a monster talent. Dawara finished with 7 rebounds, which tied the team high. 3 of those were offensive rebounds. He went 3 of 7 from the field, added 3 assists, 2 steals, and was plus 12 in 21 minutes. Mohamed Dawara was so impressive. He's a rookie, but the way he's running the floor, the way he's taking contact and creating shots, either by finding someone else open through playmaking or by absorbing contact and finishing anyway, he's incredibly smart and crafty. He's doing things at his size that he shouldn't be able to do, especially shooting the ball and running in transition. 1 minute he's in the backcourt, you blink, and he's already at the other basket trying to get an and one or a layup. His athleticism, the way he plays basketball, his defensive instincts, his defense is already NBA ready. He can lock players down, get steals, get blocks, and pressure ball handling. Because of how big he is and how long his wingspan is, opponents don't know what they're going to do against him. He's that good already. Dawara is going to get the development he needs in the G League this year. After this season, the Sports Center analysts are telling everyone that come Summer League next year, we're going to be talking about Mohamed Dawara being ready and competing for a roster spot next training camp. Mark their words, this kid is special. We saw last night why New York drafted him, and why the Knicks clearly want to develop him into one of their wings of the future. The fact that the Knicks drafted him and he's going to be a homegrown talent means the contract he'll be on will favor New York for years to come. But Dawara wasn't the only impressive young player last night. Trey Johnson III was outstanding. The analysts cannot believe the Knicks essentially stole this kid, have him on a 2-way contract, and other teams let him become available. New York didn't have to give up anything to get him. Now that he's on a 2-way deal with the Knicks and playing the way he's been playing in preseason, New York is never going to let him go. They're going to develop him, and when he's ready, the Knicks will offer him a standard NBA contract, and he's going to be a future center for this franchise. By all accounts, that's the right move. Johnson is blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, has a nice hook shot, has back-to-the-basket post-game, and he's still developing and can get even better. The Knicks with this signing hit an absolute home run. Last night, Johnson showed exactly why with 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, went 1 of 2 from the field, and was plus 20 in 26 minutes, which was a game-high plus-minus. Trey Johnson III is just so impressive with his strength. He can grab boards, block shots, and plays the right way. Viewers saw that bounce pass from Brunson when Johnson was running behind him, and he finished so effortlessly. These are the types of plays the team needs to run and finish consistently. The only way you're able to do that is having the right players on the roster. If you're not able to sign quality players, either because you don't have roster spots or you're up against the salary cap, then there's only one other way to get this type of talent. Be smart, be aggressive, use your contracts wisely, and try to identify talent any way possible. With draft picks, get those talented players however you can. The Knicks did exactly that by using their 2-way contract wisely on Trey Johnson and drafting Mohamed Dawara in the 2nd round, when everyone said he was a project who'd need 3+ years. Now it looks like after just 1 year of development, Dawara could become the bench player the Knicks need next season as a future piece at a very low cost, because he's homegrown talent. Looking at championship odds, the Thunder are on top at plus 200, followed by the Cavaliers at plus 650, Nuggets at plus 700, Knicks at plus 1200. If the Knicks want to climb higher on this list, the best way is opening the regular season as strong as possible. There were so many positive things to discuss from last night's game: the young players, the rookies, Brunson, Mikal Bridges. The list goes on. Some things still need work, especially maintaining that fast pace consistently and keeping the defense consistently aggressive so they don't get taken advantage of inside or from 3. Over the course of this season, the Knicks' defense should slowly improve and hopefully peak right when the postseason arrives. But last night's game was great to watch. So fun and exciting. The ball movement, the three-point shooting, what this team can do when shots are falling, the defense looking solid, playing both ends of the floor. It wasn't perfect, and some things still need improvement. But the Sports Center panel thinks everyone saw the vision under Mike Brown. This team is going to be dangerous, one of the best teams in the NBA, and they genuinely believe this team will reach the NBA Finals this season based on what they've seen so far.